Hi everyone, I'm Leif Elsmo, joined by ex-wing Scott Gabrielson. We're set to bring you some great action. Scott, 3 teams have won the championship in the NLL the last 4 years. Toronto, back-to-back, and then before that it was the Wings, before that it was Rochester. These teams know how to win.
They do. It's Rochester, Philadelphia tonight. They want to get back to the championship game. They're used to being there. It comes down to one game and one game only to get to the big show. And it's tonight here in Philadelphia at home.
All right, Scott, let's take a closer look at the 2 teams. We'll start with the Philadelphia Wings and look at their offense. They are led by the most dynamic scorers in the league as a pair, Berge, Marechek, and then a rookie, Radcliffe.
They're the guys we keep mentioning all the time, Leif. Jake Berge, Tom Marechek, they score very well together. Tom Marechek, just an incredible scorer. Ability to dodge, shoot, put the ball in the net. And then Rookie of the Year candidate, Jeff Radcliffe. Scoring is adding a great benefit to the team. He's added some great power and enthusiasm to the Philadelphia Wings.
Take a look at the numbers. Only one team of the 4 in the playoffs has a tandem with 2 40-goal scorers. There they are, Berge and Marechek. We talked about Radcliffe and how valuable he has been adding to that offense on the right-hander side. And Scott, that's an interesting piece about the offenses. Heavy on the right-hander side for Philadelphia. Let's take a look at Rochester now. They come at you from the left-hander side.
Yes, they do. Rochester has an equal big 3 as well. With John Grant for one, big, strong left-handed shooter, incredible behind his back. Corey Bomberry's been a fantastic addition, also scoring very well. Here's Grant passing and assisting to Bomberry. The team plays very well, finds the open man. Here's Bomberry down low to Dewey Jacobs for a big goal. Rochester plays very well together. They've been in the championship for the last 2 years. The reason why is these 3 guys, John Grant, Corey Bomberry, and Dwayne Jacobs.
And there are a ton of points. Grant with 90, co-leader in this league. Tremendous season for the offense of Rochester. And again, they've been in the championship the last 2 years. They want to get there again. They have to beat the Wings. Let's talk to Paul Day. We had a moment with him earlier tonight, and we talked to Coach Paul Day of the Rochester KNIGHTHAWKS about what he must do to win this game.
Seeing Jake Berge and Tom Marechek, obviously this year we've had some trouble with them. Most nights are getting 10 goals between them against us, and you know, we've got to take care of Dallas Eliak as well. He's you know, one of the top goaltenders in the league, and we've got to make sure that we're getting 8 to 10 guys scoring on him tonight.
All right, the lights are going down, the crowd's pouring in. We are getting set to open the face-off for this quest for the 2001 Champions Cup and the National Lacrosse League. Stick with us. We'll be right back to the First Union Center. First Union Center filling up as we're getting set for this playoff game in the National Lacrosse League. Leif Elsmo, Scott Gabrielson, ex-great of the Philadelphia Wings, going to take you right through the action. We're going to start with Peter Jacobs, Scott, going against MacArthur. Number 32 has really been one of the best 2-way players for Rochester.
Jamie Hanford actually going to take the draw
Hanford's down there first.
With MacArthur. Here's where it starts it off. Playoffs 2001. The winner goes to the championship. Philadelphia Wings started off, or made it through the season with the sweep of Rochester. So this is the 3rd and maybe grudge match, the biggest game between both of these teams. The winner goes to the championship.
So Hanford takes the first draw. He'll work with Jacobs at that position, that all-important face-off as Rochester takes the first shot. Grant on the field. McGrady coming in, looking for a little bit of room as John Grant moves inside. Grant gets the ball in front, and Elliott has to brush it aside. Grant got past Hanford, coming around the goal. He got open, and it doesn't take much for him to get a shot on goal. He needs a little bit of a seam, and he got it.
Grant is the go-to guy for Rochester, and right now they're really going after it. Pat Day has created, you know, started off the defensive effort to forecheck Philadelphia in their end. It was successful. The Wings didn't get over the midfield line in 10 seconds, and it's a turnover.
So lost possession by Philadelphia as Ryan could not handle the pressure of McGrady. Looking inside again, Randy Mearns can't get it past Elliott. And again on Hanford, they've been picking on Jamie Hanford, and they've got 2 shots, but Dallas Elliott has made the big saves to keep the game scoreless. Teams in blue for Rochester, and the white and gray, the gray with the black shoulders for the hometown Philadelphia Wings. Their first offensive set from the right side. Berge to Millen, up top, the great lefty takes a right-handed shot. Millen and Finner, we didn't talk about him much, but 2 sensational players on the left-handed side of that offense. Jacobs coming down on the fast break, wide to the right, and Elliott just gets possession in time.
Bad substitution by Philadelphia to get their offensive players on and their defensive players on and their offensive players off. Rochester, Dwayne Jacobs almost made them pay for that.
Radcliffe tries to put a little heat on O'Toole, who starts in the goal for Rochester. Teams going at it on the boards as Ratcliffe picks up the loose ball, goes into the crease. He tries to underhand it, but he stepped in that circle. When you're in the crease as an offensive player, violation, ball goes back to the Nighthawks.
Defense is swarming for Rochester. You see Reggie Thorpe, he is their defensive specialist, a fantastic defender and great ground ball man for Rochester. Jeff Ratcliffe giving a very good effort on picking up the ground ball.
Take a look at the numbers on Pat O'Toole. Sensational year for him. 8-2 is a record, and goals against, second best in the league, 10.58. Grant with an underhand shot as he was double teamed by Jacobs and Slate. You can bet John Grant will get a lot of attention from Tony Resch's team on the defensive end. McGrady looking to dish it down to John Grant. Up top, there's some room, and Elliott again with the save. Tommy Slate comes up with the ball, looks ahead, they've got a fast break, they pull it back. Jalbert was breaking out, but they elected to take the easy route to Jacobs to the far side.
Rochester's playing very tight on their defense. They're up in the Philadelphia wing's face, trying to set the tone early on defense, shut down Philadelphia, see if it can be successful.
Berge took a shot down low, a lot of pressure coming from the right side from Philadelphia. Millen again comes in. Millen's got a little bit of a space, goes behind the goal. They look far side to Berge. Can't find him. Clark has to get the shot off, but not in time. The shot clock rang true behind the glass, and the 30 seconds was up. On the other end, in the goal, Dallas Elliott, the premier goalie, I would say over the last 6 years, without question. Goals against 11.95, 9-3 record. Played 14 games this year. A little bit of a slow start for Dallas, but he really rounded into shape. And one of his best games was the last one against Albany, where the team was flat. Dallas, almost by himself, got the team the home field advantage.
Dallas Elliott is coming off a Player of the Week honors this week by his performance against Albany. He's a guy that we didn't highlight in the Open League, but he has really been standing on his head this year. He's one of the main leaders and main reasons why Philadelphia ended up in second place in the league.
Ratcliffe again pushing into the middle, but good defense by Rochester just keeps him from getting any kind of quality shot. That time it was Casey Zaff, as Tommy Ryan with the trademark dreadlocks picks up the ball.
Little lazy by Rochester trying to clear the ball. Tom Ryan's there for the pickup. Philadelphia got a new 30-second clock.
Berge took a shot from the outside. No big test on O'Toole so far. Down on the other side, and Hayson drills one for the first goal of the game. Mike Hayson, the MVP, the unsung hero, I should say, for this team, for this season, just voted by the players, and he came down with a major goal in transition.
There's a saying, you snooze, you lose right here. Pat O'Toole, incredible outlet pass, hits Hansen on the dime, on the run, beats Kevin Finner and burns Dallas Elliott for the first goal of this game. Here's O'Toole, head up right away, sets his feet, hits a perfect strike on a bomb to Hansen. Dallas Elliott can barely even see the shot. Ball goes in the net. Rochester puts the first point on the board.
All right, 10:41 left in this first quarter. Now it is Peter Jacobs out there to take the draw, alternating with Jamie Hanford, but it's MacArthur getting the ball down there, can't get it, finally collects it for Rochester, and I touched on it for a moment, but Scott MacArthur, tremendous year for him on both ends. He plays a real tough defense, he's chipped in with some big goals and assists, and he faces off. He does a lot of work for Rochester.
Very well-rounded player. You don't realize how hard it is to take those face-off draws, and for him to be able to do the draws plus add on the offensive end is a great credit to him.
Nighthawks trying to get the big shot. Troy Cordingley was decked with a double team, and Cordingley, number 40, a veteran. He had a couple championship rings when he played for Buffalo. Good look at Troy Cordingley. They brought him in mid-season. This is about his 5th game for the team for more right-handed shooting.
Mid-season pickup by Rochester to get Troy Cordingley. Season vet, his career's primarily been with Buffalo. Here's Mike Buzza, one of the smaller defenders for the Wings, really trying to get after Cordingley, gets up under the chin, pops the helmet off. Mike Buzza's going to go to the box for 2 minutes.
First extra man set, and they get a shot right away as they are 5 against 4 for a couple minutes. Rochester leads 1-0.
This is a situation Philadelphia needs to try to stay out of. A man-down situation, putting the power play or extra man on the floor for Rochester. Rochester is very good at it. They're very patient. They move the ball around very well. And watch out for 24 Grant up top and Bomberry 72 with the big shot.
Jacobs off the ball. That one by Kruger up top. They just dodged a bullet a moment ago. Jacobs cut through the middle. He was wide open. He just missed the connection. It was a textbook Jacobs cut. And he gets in the middle. He normally finishes it so beautifully with such an accurate shot. Philadelphia dodged that one. But here comes Rochester again. Again, the forechecking really causing some problems for Philadelphia. Power play numbers on the season. You can see great efficiency. Approaching 60% for Rochester.
Rochester's very good in the power play, and you see Philadelphia is 6th in the league. Out of the 4 teams in the playoffs, Philadelphia is the worst on special teams, on the power play as well as man down. This is very important for them to shut down Rochester or score goals when they're in the power play.
Grant tried to get the ball down to Malofsky, couldn't do it. Then they got it into Jacobs, but he was drilled by some of that tough defense, but picked up in midair again with the forechecking. There's a chance to score. Johnny Grant off the iron. Another great chance to score, but Philadelphia dodges it once more. Tommy Fair, he puts a hard shot right into the chest of O'Toole. Look at the way O'Toole broke down the angle, and here comes Johnny Grant. He's got rope. 2-0. Rochester leads.
In this game, if you make a mistake, the other team's going to make you pay for it. That time, Tommy Fair, as a veteran player, should not have taken that shot. He took the shot, hit the goalie in the chest, the ball went up the other way. Dwayne Jacobs found John Grant, beat Dallas Elliott. Here's a look, O'Toole with a big outlet bounce pass, hits John Grant, it's just sitting down there, buries it over the shoulder of Elliott. Philadelphia didn't even get a chance to get on the floor. John Grant's always there. You don't want to leave John Grant with a one-on-one with the goalie. Philadelphia did. They paid the price. John Grant puts a second goal on the board.
You know, Paul Day, we saw him in the pregame, has a great game plan here. Textbook would say, well, Philadelphia's probably a little bit better shape. You're playing on a bigger floor, and that bodes well for Philly. Day knew that, and he is pressing and really running the field, which I think is surprising Tony Resch and the Wings. The first 2 goals have both been in transition.
Yeah, well, it's also, you take a look at some scouting that happens as well. They probably looked at some tapes of the Toronto game where Toronto forechecked very successfully against Philadelphia in their end. Paul Day's got his guys doing the same exact thing. They're forechecking their end, and they've created almost 5 turnovers so far against Philadelphia, 2 of which have ended up in goals.
That last goal will go as a power play goal, but it was really a fast break transition with Tommy Fair taking a shot on the other end, maybe settle things down. You look at Paul Day. The refs are going through some sort of confab on the floor. Crowd getting a little bit restless. Let's take a look at the team comparisons. Records we talked about were identical, and points per game right there as well. Points against, you can see the Wings a little less stingy than Rochester, which is unusual. And the power play, as you talked about, Scott, may be the critical difference tonight.
There is. I mean, look at the difference in the efficiency there. Rochester has great shooters. Philadelphia has not been able to be successful in the power play. But again, very 2 evenly matched teams. Philadelphia's won both, but for their first meeting, they won by 1 goal, or their second meeting, they won in Philadelphia by 1 goal. So this should be an incredible game. Philadelphia needs to tighten it up a little bit and be a little more patient for them to be successful.
Jacobs back in there to take on MacArthur for the faceoff. Rochester with that 2-0 lead. And you look at the Wings, they are still trying to get some heat on paddle 2 offensively.
So far, Rochester's been the team that's been a little bit more relaxed, ready to play. Philadelphia seems to be rushing the ball. There's this 30-second shot clock that they play with in this game, and Philadelphia's going to the hoop, probably with 25 seconds left. Here's Marechek going to the net here. He's getting dragged down, and we're going to have a power play opportunity for Philadelphia.
Tommy Marechek had a tremendous move going to his left, and then Casey Zaff had to grab him.
All Casey Zaff could do was grab the back shirt of Tom Marechek. Tom, incredible face dodge, split dodge to the goal. Zaff, all he could do was grab Marechek's jersey to slow him down, but that's going to put him in the box for 2.
Well, we'll see how that power play works for Philadelphia. They've got some shooters. Tommy Marechek, Berge, and Millen up top. I would be real interested to see if you play a box or do you go to a diamond. Right now they're starting in a box, which means They're giving the top shooters a little bit of a shot advantage. A diamond would cut off the top 3 guys, which is where Philadelphia's strength is. Holding call against Hasten, and they'll be 2 men short. It'll be 5 for Philly players, that is, going against 3 for Rochester. 2 men in the box.
Not a very smart move right there for whatsoever to grab the stick of Jeff Ratcliffe, puts another man in the box. This is an opportunity when a team has an opportunity with 5 offensive players against 3, again, that they should score. Look for the layup shot, meaning Jeff Ratcliffe or Kevin Finneran down low to get the pass across, let O'Toole slide, and it should hit an open net. If they do it properly, they should get a goal right here.
Paul Day may be testing the referees too. It's a little bit of something everybody's learned. Everybody's kind of following the Toronto model since they're back-to-back winners. But you test the refs early, you make it physical, you do all your tricks, you do all your defensive holds, and you see where the limits are. And I think they're finding out pretty quickly where the referees are going to draw the line.
They're going to call pretty tight tonight. They're not going to let anybody get away with it. And again, here's that stat that we pointed out. Philadelphia, 43% efficiency, 6th in the league, worst of all the playoff teams right now. So with a 5-on-3 advantage here, Philadelphia must score, put the ball in the net. And with Berge and Marichuk really going to be throwing the ball around, hopefully they can get that done.
There's the jacuzzi, the patented relaxing spot on the floor of the First Union Center. 2-0. Rochester really striking at an unusual situation. Transition, beating Philadelphia in the transition, forechecking very heavily, and they've gotten 2 goals, both assists by O'Toole. And now Philadelphia tries to answer with a 5-on-3. 2 guys in the box, and they couldn't pick it up cleanly on the left-hander side. Clark couldn't get it. No, it's Finneran. Kevin Finneran down low. Just mishandled. They maintain possession. Playing that triangle. Tough in there, Scott. Not much room for error, but they block it again.
2-man advantage right now for Philadelphia. They've got a 30-second shot clock. They got a new one on that shot, but they need to take an opportunity of moving the defenders and finding the open man.
Radcliffe looking for help. Rochester doing a great job of just knocking down the backdoor feeds. And again, they got a stick on it. I think they've gotten a stick on every backdoor feed, which has made it very tough to finish the play.
On that shot, Philadelphia gets a new 30 seconds, so they need to take their time, see the net, and finish the ball, finish the opportunity.
Another chance. Marichuk picked it up beautifully, but Rochester just dodging that accurate shot by Marichuk a little bit high off the pipe. Here comes Philadelphia again. Marichuk up top. This is Berge for the right-handed shot. He's got Millen to his right for the left-hander shot, but he just fakes it to Millen and then just buries it in the corner. When you get that close with the velocity of Marichuk's, he will find that shot. He missed it the first time. Second time, he hits the corner.
Second time's a charm right there for Tom Marichuk. What you try to do on a 2-man advantage here is if you're not picked up and draw a man, if they don't slide to you, well, take the shot. That's exactly what Tom Marichuk did. He stepped in, no Rochester defender picked him up. He had the opening, he took the shot. Here's a look at it. He's testing. You're not gonna pick me up, I'm taking the shot. Sets up O'Toole, puts it down lower left. Goal, Tom Marichuk.
That time, Corey Bomberry goes to face off against Jamie Hanford. Philadelphia picks up this one with Jay Jalbert, the good-looking rookie from the University of Virginia. Gives it off to Millen, the UMass great, who has been a world team MVP, playing the left-handed side against this tough defense. Now, they've still got an extra man. It's 5-on-4. One player was released, but they still have an advantage as O'Toole makes the stop. Casey Zapp takes it down. He'll try to kill the 30 seconds. One player left in the box for the Nighthawks. Randy Mearns comes off. They put a little pressure on the field by having Jacobs joined by Johnny Grant. Grant takes it back to Jacobs. Jacobs deadly from all over the field. They get it in close to Grant again. Still he couldn't pick up the feed, and he just missed the goal. Grant has had the ball twice inside on the crease, and he's missed the pipe both times. He is so dangerous down in front of the goalie.
John Grant's big. He tries to post up the defender, and he's got a couple nice opportunities right there. Unfortunately, couldn't cash in on him.
Moving pick called against the Philadelphia Wings. It'll be Rochester Nighthawks possession as they give the ball to the goalie.
One thing to note there, Reggie Thorpe was in the box, their top defender, sat out for 2 to 4 minutes there, and Rochester was very successful in shutting down Philadelphia on offense.
Timmy Sudan A lot of veteran players leading the team for Rochester. Jacobs is 134, Sudan another in 33 inside. They tried to get it to Sudan, and look at Mike Buzza, riding hard, checking hard. Buzza overmatched, gets helped by Jay Jalbert. Better matchup size-wise, and the behind-the-back shot by Kruger can't get past Elliott. Nicely played by the wings. Jalbert noticed the size problem. He went over and helped Buzza out right away.
Maybe an ill-advised slide right there because it almost burned him. That shot hit the post. Rochester almost had a goal right there.
Marechek tries to hit the opposite corner of the one he got moments ago, but O'Toole read it perfectly. Reggie Thorpe, defensive specialist from Syracuse, gives it off to the offense of Jacobs, who comes out for some fresh legs. Grant coming in, asking for the ball. Peter Jacobs playing Grant and just putting him down to the floor. Troy Corningly can't get anything open against the defensive checks of the wings. Now it's back to Slate, looking to his left. He's got Tommy Fair into Fair. Fair couldn't pick it up. Off the boards, Rochester keeps it on the ground. Berge.
They got a defensive man on the field. Tom Slate comes off. They're trying to get Radcliffe on quick. Need to get a shot with 6 seconds left.
Radcliffe just pulled down to the ground. No call made there. Shot clock gives the ball back to Rochester. And quickly they try to push transition. They've got a trailing player. MacArthur looks inside. He tried to find Jeremy Hollenbeck. Philadelphia got back on the floor in time to settle that ball down. Grant. Magical stick of John Grant. You're going to see two of the best magicians on the offensive end of the floor. Grant, the lefty, wearing the blue uniform, and you'll see Tom Marechek, 42, for the Philadelphia Wings from the right-hander side. They just don't find players handling the ball any better than those two. Finneran. Kevin Finneran coming in. He's got a great underhand shot. Just couldn't get past the last defender. It was Randy Mearns wrapping him up.
Philadelphia is having some trouble holding on to the ball. They're doing a lot of one-on-one dodging. They're not really finding the open man very well. They're trying to get the one-on-one shot in the score.
Milligan couldn't get it to go, and on the far side, Kevin Finneran tried to get it, could not get it to connect either. Aggressive defense played by the Nighthawks in that cylinder. They're not letting him get the easy shot. Give him the outside, but don't give him those shots in front of Kyle O'Toole. On the offensive end, you see where the Wings are moving in from the wings and shooting from the side. Rochester looks to feed it to the crease. They try to get that pass inside and finish it off. They've made the pass a couple times. Right there, they tried again to John Grant. They couldn't make the connection. Maybe the Wings getting a little smarter about it. Here comes Jacobs down the other end. Tries to go across to the fast-breaking Clark. Picked up by Kruger.
Peter Jacobs does the right thing. He pulls the ball out instead of taking that shot, but he had a second trailer, almost had it. Here's a great interception by Peter Jacobs. Gets pressure going up the field by Tim Sudan. Does the smart veteran plays, waiting for the trailer. He pulls it out, tries to see Clark down low, doesn't see Berge coming down the middle, but it was out of the crease, in the crease, and out again by Rochester. Turns it over to Philadelphia.
Radcliffe now pushing it inside again. Waits a little bit too long out to Berge. Berge's got rope, and here come the Wings. This game's tied at 2.
Jeff Radcliffe, great second effort on his part. Makes one strong move to the goal. He's going for it, okay? He's kind of trying to split two defenders. Gets a shot, ball comes right back to him. Sees Jake Berge camped out on the right side. Jake puts it right in. Big swipe by Reggie Thorpe. Again, Radcliffe gets a ground ball, finds Berge, quick sticks it in. Tie ball game, 2-2.
Good look at Jake Berge on the sideline. What a year he's had. He's added some dimension to his offense, and working with Tommy Marechek makes this guy, Tony Resch, very happy on the Philadelphia bench.
Tony Resch has put a lot of pressure on Jake Berge this year to be a leader, to be a guy that's a go-to man, to really shoulder the load for Philadelphia. And Jake Berge's answered, he's delivered all that.
Out of Salisbury State, Jake Berge, tremendous career at Salisbury State. And of course, son of Bill Berge, middle linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles, so he is a hometown favorite for Philadelphia. They try to get it in. The ball's loose and dangerous. Jacobs gets the handle on it, and Elliott out to Slate. Buzza with some speed and a fast break. They've got some numbers. Marechek One fake, and now he's got a shot. Two fakes, and couldn't get it past O'Toole, who calmly waited out the fake. Nice transition by the wings. McGrady, fresh legs on. The pace is pretty intense for Rochester. Jamie Hanford bringing the ball up. Rochester likes to score in transition. They like to spin guys off the bench. And really, they're not set up right now with their bench being far away to really do it effectively. So they're having to really push the guys from the bench farthest away from their offensive end, just like Philadelphia is. Both these teams will be much more effective next quarter in their fast breaks.
Rochester looks to cut and pass very well. Philadelphia looks to pick and roll and do more of the pick and strong dodge in the way they get their goals.
Berge again working in from that side, and Rochester has been very, very consistent with pushing him out of the cylinder. Here comes McGrady. Wheels inside of Jacobs with that shot, not even close to the net. Slate taking on two players. Can't get it across midfield. This could be a violation, a 10-second clearing violation, but Tommy Ryan brings it up. Ryan started his career with the Boston Blazers. Radcliffe, double teamed, and that'll be the end of the first quarter. Time winds down. Teams pushing and shoving. Mike Hasten opened the game up with a score. John Grant added to that 2 transition goals. Then Marichek on a power play, and Jake Berge with the last goal of this quarter makes it a 2-2 game. So we'll come back to the second quarter as we continue this quest for the Champions Cup 2001. Well, the game started off fast and furious with the visiting Rochester KNIGHTHAWKS scoring the first 2 goals. Then Philadelphia came back with Marichek and Berge, the aforementioned stars on the offense, and it started the second goal of the game was John Grant in transition.
John Grant, the 2 stars here. John Grant starts it off with a big goal and a fantastic outside feed by O'Toole, and then Jake Berge and Radcliffe pair up for Philadelphia to tie it up at 2.
You really got to say that the goaltending has been sensational. That goal against O'Toole, nothing he could do about that. Good heads-up play by Radcliffe and Berge. Transition against Elliott has beaten him. You really can't fault the goalie there. They have been on top of their game in the goals tonight as we start the second quarter.
Peter Jacobs got called for a quick draw there. Jacobs probably one of the best face-off men in this league. Gets caught for moving a little bit quick. Turns it over to Rochester, but Philadelphia gets it right back.
Elliott being very smart, going back and picking off the pass. And Radeball, defensive specialist, comes off the field now as Millen and Ryan on the left-hand side. Got Berge on the far side, setting picks with Radcliffe and Marichek. Berge, Radcliffe. Berge trying to push in for a better angle. Finally does, but O'Toole guesses low and just blocks it easily. O'Toole again with a great outlet. Oh, at the big, I was going to say John Grant, but it's 34. Dwayne Jacobs sneaking on the field, but Tommy Fair was there to play defense. Inside again and checked by Buzza. Time and time again, Scott, they're getting that pass into the cylinder right in front of Elliott, testing the defense of the wings.
Philadelphia needs to tighten up on their defense. They can't give them that much room in front. Rochester will hurt you if you give them the opportunity to score those goals. They're getting the shots. One of these times it's going to go in.
Millen out front with a lot to shoot at. He can't beat O'Toole, who seems to be going low on the shot, and the shots are going low. He's guessing right. Again, Millen coming around. He had a shot but couldn't pick up the feed, which was a little high. And locking up again. Right-handed side. Tommy Marichek against Hasten. Clark gets a little bit of a pick from Finneran. Underhand shot, and once again, drops to his knees. Low shot, he's there to meet it.
I think Philadelphia will do something to counter that. It has happened. He's dropping his knees every time. Look for the next couple goals, I believe, to be in the upper quarters.
Troy Cordingley takes the right-handed shot. He gets his possession of his own shot. Jay Jalbert hammers him into the boards. Jacobs back to Dallas Elliott. He looks for an outlet pass. Immediately bounces it to Dan Radeball. Meanwhile, on the far side, players are changing. The offense comes out. Jake Berge. Tommy Ryan, and this is Millen down low. initiating from the left. Great shot to the upper corner. I think they were trying to make that adjustment, but O'Toole, very smart to read that one all the way. Philadelphia picks it up. They've got a fresh shot clock, and now they have another possession. Nobody has scored in the second quarter. Can't find the net. That time Ratcliffe wide. Ratcliffe would normally works down within about 2 yards of the goal with some great power moves. Takes that one a little higher.
Great ground balls by Philadelphia there. Would have liked to see a better high percentage shot. Ratcliffe needs to make that fake turnaround, face the net, and shoot the ball.
Corey Bomberry gets to the far side. Rusty Kruger inside. They dish it back. A no-look pass by Mearns. Buzza was all over it defensively. Jacobs, Kruger trying to get it from Buzza on the far side with Dave Stilley, number 77, the captain for the Wings. Shot clock violation.
Nice.
Give it back to the Wings.
Yep, nice defensive effort by Philadelphia. Tom Fair, Dave Stilley, Mike Buzza getting it done, turning him over. 30-second shot clock.
Got to look at Paul Day on the sideline there. Tension on both benches as only one team advances, of course. Marichek wraps it around behind the right. Reggie Thorpe trailing him. Reggie Thorpe, the defensive leader of this team. And Marichek was making him run a little bit there. Corey Bomberry controls, gives it to Grant the far side. You can see this quarter that the Wings have outshot Rochester 5-2. Nobody has scored yet, though, as the goaltenders still are in control of this game. Great shot by Cordingley out front. Boy, he had a lot to shoot at and just missed the far pipe. Elliott was in trouble there as Cordingley picked up a loose ball and dove across the crease.
Big swarm, a lot of slides by Philadelphia to try to shut him down. Nice save by Dallas Elliott, right with Troy Cordingley in his face.
Tommy Ryan, big bull dodge, trailing Millen. Can't get it to him, though. Tommy Marichek and Berge working the far side with Ratcliffe. 3 guys on the right-hand side on this particular set. Berge gets triple team and level to the floor. Reggie Thorpe over there just burying him with number 27, Casey Zapp. And he'll get a penalty from the violent hit to Jake Berge.
Mike Ventura is going to call that on a high hit on Casey Zapp up in the head of Jake Berge. You see some of his production this year, great production. One of the things Paul Day also said in the open leaf, he's going to try to shut down Jake Berge and Tom Marichek. Well, you see that right there. 3 guys swarming on Jake Berge. Jake Berge's not going to pass the ball. He's going to get triple teamed, and he's going to get knocked down. Great slide by Casey Zapp, but he got him high, up underneath the chin, high sticking. He's in the box for 2 minutes.
And, of course, Berge and Marichek have seen the double teams, the triple teams all year long, yet they each have 40-plus goals. Berge up top, into Mellon inside, but great defense to collapse at the last minute. Thorpe and Mearns just caved in on Millen. Mason coming down. 1 for 2, the power play for Philadelphia tonight. They'll take that at the end of the night if they can get 50% on their opportunities.
That's better than they've done all season. Right here's an opportunity that most teams might just kill the clock. But a guy like John Grant, they're going after the goal, and they almost get one right there. Kurt Malowski sitting in front of the net. I don't know how he gets open, but there's a big push by Philadelphia, and it may be going back to Rochester.
Well, Tommy Slate gets called by the cross-check against Malowski, who was wide open inside. Again, hard to imagine getting that open when you only have 4 players and the other team has 5. But playing short can be very confusing for the 5 guys because you want to press the ball, and that's what Rochester is inviting you to do.
The defenseman always has to lock on his man and never let him beat you. That's probably why Tony Resch has that look on his face, because the defender left Kurt Malowski wide open, but Rochester turns it right over.
John Grant had a target down low. Troy Cordingley was wide open. His behind the back feed went over Troy Cordingley's head. That was a great opportunity for Rochester had they made that connection accordingly. Teams at 4-on-4 strength, and in less than a couple of minutes, probably about a minute here, you will see Rochester go from being a man down to having a man advantage. Berge with some room now. Again, the 4-on-4 gives Berge and John Grant a little bit more room to operate. Shot clock violation. They weren't watching that shot clock.
They had the matchup that they wanted. Jake Berge out front with a big shake and bake. He's got the best split dodge in this game here. Makes the move, almost had Millen. Millen dropped the pass, and they expire on a 30-second shot clock. Now Rochester comes right back at it. Tim Sudan, also a great one-on-one dodger. Strong and a great shot. Whoa, tings the corner with upper 90 degrees right there.
And he buried the iron on that right in the corner, but this shot low on the far side by Kruger gives Rochester a 3-2 lead in the second quarter.
One of the advantages to the teams is when they get 4-on-4, it spreads the field, and as you mentioned, completely open. By eliminating one extra man for each team, it makes it a huge C out there. Philadelphia is spread out. Sudan takes a huge shot, hits a crossbar. Bad slide up top, not quick enough. Rochester capitalizes and scores a goal. Take another look at it. Bomberry finds the very far side, gets it over to Kruger. Big shot, it's a goal.
Rochester gets that face-off, and they will set up their offense again. Not extra yet, but in moments, now they are. They'll have a 5-on-4 off that goal. This is a tough situation for the defense of Philly. They had allowed that 4-on-4 goal. Now they've got a 5-on-4 opportunity. Grant fakes, comes in, and once he got by the charging Jay Jalbert, boy, he gave the rookie a lesson there. The big stick fake by Grant, which is almost impossible and irresistible to ignore. You've got to go after it. Jay Jalbert bit. Grant was in close on Dallas Elliott.
You always have to be under control. Take it. It's actually Dave Stilley coming up from behind. He just gets frozen for a second by Grant. His stick is so good. Just a little fake. Stilley comes by. Grant gets a full view of the net, puts it in the upper left-hand corner. Just a beautiful goal by John Grant. He's so smart. He's so patient when he looks at the goal, and he puts it away.
My mistake on the great Jay Jalbert. He was playing the high position on that man down. It was really the low slide by Stilley that came out a little too strong. John Grant's deception makes it very tough to read what he's going to do. He's got 2 goals on the day. That was his second goal. Both power play goals, one in transition, one down in the 5-on-4 set. So 2 goals in less than a minute after they went about 6 minutes without scoring at all in this quarter. Philadelphia now looking to get their offense on track. Rochester started the game by scoring first. It was Haston and Grant. Then Marichek and Berge answered back. Nobody else scored in the first quarter. Second quarter, here it's been Kruger, and that 4-on-4 followed very closely by the Grant power play goal, and that's where we stand. Timmy Sudan just wide, follow up by the garbage man. He is the best at picking up the garbage shots. Nobody in this league does it better than Malowski, and he came in and just picked up the rebound. Malowski goes right to the shot, and he gets more shots off of the initial shot coming off the goalie. Second shots are his bread and butter.
It's like being a great rebounder in basketball. Kurt Malowski's there. Tim Sudan with a big, strong right-hand move to the goal. Again, gets wide of the goal, hits the boards, and comes back. Here's Sudan, big shot, wide off the boards. Malowski's right there to quick stick it over the shoulder of Dallas Elliott. Dallas didn't know where it was coming from. Kurt Malowski is there at the right time, puts it home.
So right now we stand at 5 goals for Rochester, only 2 for the Wings, and they scored their last 3 goals in the span of about a minute and a half. We'll come back to the second quarter in just a moment. The fast-paced, hard-hitting action of the National Lacrosse League is now available in home video. You can purchase big-time lacrosse online at NLLProShop.com. It's your one-stop shop for all NLL merchandise. NLLProShop.com. Take a look at the last score. Malowski off the first shot that came off the boards. And again, he does it so well, Scott. He is always in a position for that second shot.
But Dallas Elliott really didn't have a chance on that one. Jamie Henford, he had turned around and tried to box out Malowski, but he was there at the right time, gets that shot, pushes it over the shoulder of Elliott. Rochester takes a 3-goal lead, 5-2.
4 different players scoring those 5 goals, which is good. If you listen to Paul Day, he talks about his formula. He wants 8 to 10 guys scoring. He's got that kind of mix. On the other side, you got Berge, Marichek. You know you're going to focus on those guys. Philly needs somebody else to step up and can a few.
Yes, they do. And as Tom Ryan takes the ball up, he's one of the lefties that you need to have produce for you, as well as Mark Millen, Kevin Finneran. These are the other offensive stars, offensive powerhouses that Philadelphia has. These guys need to get on the board, specifically Millen, that they're hoping to do something with.
And Tommy Ryan answers your beck and call for a goal. He got it. A great give and go with Millen. They worked it on the left side, and he puts it over the shoulder of O'Toole.
Just like that. Very nice. Two-man game worked perfectly. Pick and roll. Tom Ryan, Mark Millen. Mark Millen, great cutting on the dime. Two-man pick up. Tom Ryan just rolls inside, sees the net, puts it up high over the shoulder of O'Toole. There he is. No little fake, pushes it over. Great goal, Tom Ryan. Tom Ryan, a very tough defensive player and a very tough offensive player. Very strong, puts the ball in the net for Philadelphia. He's had some great offensive production over the past three or four games for Philadelphia.
So they climb back to within 2, 5-3 the score, as Rochester gets called for a moving pick. The ball goes back to Stilley and company. Jalbert has Slate on the far side. Slate brings it down as Berge, and an offensive set comes in. Finneran working with Clark on the left-handed side. They're loaded up on the right hand with Radcliffe, the big three, Berge and Marichek. Finneran's got room inside, goes to the corner, can't get it, goes wide. No new shot clock. They've got to get it off quick. It's coming down. Does Berge realize that? He does, and he gets a shot. They get a fresh one, a follow-up, and they've got Radcliffe makes it a 5-4 playoff game.
If you don't pick up the ball, you're going to have to pay the price for it. The ball gets on the ground. Rochester can't get it out and clear it. Jeff Radcliffe's there to pick up that ground ball, put it in the net. Here he is right in front of the net, sees it, jams it home. Philadelphia taking advantage of an opportunity. They got a new 32nd. Here's Jake Berge getting the new 32nd. Jeff Radcliffe being there to pick up some garbage, if you will. Sets up O'Toole, jams it home. He looks down, fakes down low. O'Toole drops to his knees, as we've seen. Radcliffe buries it home. Great goal by Jeff Radcliffe.
Scott, we talked about him going to his knees and wondered if the Wings were going to make an adjustment. The last 2 goals have been to the upper corner above his shoulder. When he gets down to his knees, you can't reach that corner. The Wings making a nice adjustment. They're back to within 1 as Millen comes right into that crease area. MacArthur, good transition, far side, and a streaking Mearns can't beat the great Dallas Elliott.
Incredible save by Elliott, and that hit the shaft of Elliott with Mearns bearing down on him. Elliott with a fantastic save. One of the reasons why Philadelphia is here tonight.
Inside to Finneran, who can't get it. Clark tries to get it off the boards. A lot of momentum here. It's been a game of a momentum. Actually, Hasten and Grant scoring for Rochester initially. Then 2 goals for Philly, 3 goals for Rochester, and now 2 goals for Philly. Make that 3! Tied at 5.
Not really the guy that you'd expect to go through the entire Rochester team with the ball in his stick, but Jason Clark does just that. Has the ball, starts from the from the left-hand side, goes through 1 guy, goes through 2 guys, cross-check to the front, cross-check to the back, takes a goal on the wrong side of the floor. O'Toole stands a little bit, and he buries it home. Here is a lefty on the right side, shoots it 5-hole. This time, he beats O'Toole. Great goal by Jason Clark.
Well, it was 3 goals in about a minute and a half for Rochester, and the answer came from Philadelphia in the same quarter. They've got a minute and a half, a 3-goal splurge by the offense of Tony Resch and the Philadelphia Wings. Both of the last 2 goals assisted by Berge. The one to Tommy Ryan, assisted by Marichek when he made that big move, or was it Millen on that one side? It was Millen and Ryan, rather, on that one side. But anyway, they're working the 2-man game beautifully. They're getting shots in close on Paul Day's goalie, Pat O'Toole.
Paul Day's regrouping his team. He just called a timeout to get his troops together. They just gave up 3 quick goals to Philadelphia. Tony Resch is saying, take advantage of these opportunities. We got some momentum, keep it going. He's got the team fired up. This is the playoff game this is what it's all about. The next game's a championship. Get it done.
Season series between Rochester and Philadelphia start off with a big high-scoring affair very early in the season. The very first week, Philadelphia wins 17-16 in Rochester. And then February 3rd, Rochester came down here and lost a 14-12 game. Berge was the hero in both games. Look at that, 10 goals in 2 games. You know that Paul Day is focusing on Jake Berge. He's got 1 so far today.
Paul Day knows to focus on Jake Berge. His team's got to do that and stop it. Here's the Philadelphia faithful right there wearing the big number 66. Paul Day's got his guys to regroup now on defense. Let's see what happens at the 5-minute mark in the first half, tied at 5 as well, to see how Paul Day is going to get his troops to answer to Philadelphia.
Dietrich trying to pump up the bench. They've got a little bit of a timeout here. It might be a little bit of a ploy to break some momentum. O'Toole's out there on the field, taping up a shin guard. 10 straight road postseason game for the Rochester KNIGHTHAWKS. They've got a history in that franchise of starting slow and finishing fast. They had a 3-3 start this year after really trying not to start slow. They had a tough schedule also. And then they went 7-8 in the final 8 games to get to this place tonight. O'Toole second in the league, and the goals against category just under 11.
Rochester's very good on the road, as you see. They've been in the championship the last 2 years. This is their opportunity to get back 3 years in a row. They know what it takes to get it done. They're regrouping, but we're locked at 5 right here, the 5-minute mark of the second quarter.
Well, they've had to play on the road in the playoffs, but their bread and butter is at home, Scott. They're 4-3 on the road this year. Only lost 1 at home. So they would much rather be there as Millen comes in on the rebound and the feed, and Millen gives Philadelphia 4 straight goals. They're on a roll, and they lead for the first time, the very first Philadelphia lead at 6-5.
Philadelphia's creating some motion now, getting the people moving. The 2-man game again with Mark Millen, Tom Ryan. Here's Millen, takes an errant shot off the glass. O'Toole really didn't know where it's coming from. Millen takes the opportunity to get the shot, beats O'Toole at the 5-hole. He may not be dropping to his knees now. He's tending to do what he's been doing before, and now the goals are going in.
Philadelphia has really answered the bell here as Grant picks up the faceoff. He's getting double-teamed, looking for help, gets inside of 2 defenders, and can't get it past the big defensive check of Jay Jalbert. Four straight goals for Philadelphia after Rochester got the scoring started. There was a moment, about 6 minutes worth of moments, where nobody scored. And then Rochester ripped off 3 goals in about a minute and a half. Philly answered. And now they lead for the first time, 6-5.
Great checking by Philadelphia there, really swarming to get the ground ball. Good stick checks, turn the ball, Rochester turned it over in their defensive end. Philly knew 30-second shot clock and a good opportunity.
Marechek with a good shot, again a little bit low, and O'Toole seems to be gobbling up those low shots. Berge gets checked from the far side by Hastings all over the field. You see why he was the unsung hero for this team. John Grant, the MVP for Rochester. Fittering brings it down, 20 seconds on the shot clock. Start with the Ratcliffe, Berge, Marechek. Pick and rolls on the far side. Marechek with room, and he can't get it past O'Toole, who came out and cut down the angle. O'Toole's really reading the shooters beautifully. They get the ball back, plenty of time. Fittering fakes, a lot of room, and O'Toole again comes up and really blocks a well-placed shot. Fittering really tried to fill the corner. O'Toole read it beautifully again, came up high.
Great shot by Pat O'Toole right there to really steal one from Kevin Fittering. Great forecheck and effort. Ground ball by Jason Clark. Finn had the shot. O'Toole with a fantastic save.
Grant locked and loaded, but he can't get past Tilley. Or Stilley, rather. Stilley, the captain of the team this year from the defensive end. And that's what Tony Resch wants. He has Stilley down there playing tough defense and really trying to drive the team from the defensive end. That's Tony Resch's way. He was an All-American at Yale. He played on the U.S. World Teams. Scott, you played for that team. You know that it started on the defense.
It wins with defense. You win championships with defense. It starts in the goal with Dallas Elliott. He's been there for years. And then it's the guys that are in front of it. And for Philadelphia, they've done quite well with it. They use the offense-defense line. They've got 5 guys strictly on defense and 5 guys strictly on offense.
Pretty much a league-wide staple, that offense-defensive way to go. And Ratcliffe tries to come across the crease. They say no goal if it went in because he was in the crease, but good offensive pressure by the Philadelphia Wings. O'Toole a little bit rattled. They've really been in his face with a lot of shots in the last 3 minutes.
Philadelphia getting some great opportunities, but Pat O'Toole is also making the big saves. Here he is, Philadelphia, Jeff Ratcliffe right on top of him. O'Toole moving with him, gets the save. Ratcliffe's in the crease.
Big shot by Corey Bomberry. Timeout called by Philadelphia. Tony Resch seeing things getting a little out of control. He calls a timeout. His team did a sensational job. They were down 5-2, scored 4 straight goals and have their first lead at 6-5.
Smart timeout by Tony Resch at this time. Got a little under 2 minutes left in the half. Philadelphia was put down a little bit. They had some great Rochester had some opportunities, regroup, slow things down, get ready to go in the halftime with the lead.
Take this moment to remind you that this copyrighted telecast of the National Lacrosse League is not to be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NLL. Place is starting to rock now. What a great turnaround. You see Paul Day, he really had things going his way. Kruger, Grant, Malowski. He had 5 goals and only 2 for Philadelphia. He had 4 different guys scoring the 5 goals. It didn't look good. Philadelphia looked like they weren't going to find any answer to the pressure put on Berge and Marichek. And then Ryan, Ratcliffe, Clark, and Millen, and they came back to take the lead. They've outshot Rochester 28-10 over the last 22 minutes, which really shows you how they turned things around. And the last comment I'll make, Scott Gabrielson, is they've got 6 goals and 6 different guys scoring them. That's a great sign for Tony Resch.
Yep, very well-rounded by Philadelphia and also well-rounded by Rochester right now in a very big time in this game to take one team to take momentum into the locker room at halftime.
Ball goes between the legs of O'Toole with a behind-the-back shot of Tommy Marichek. But the crease violation takes the shot and the goal off the board. See, just walked in the crease there. Maybe they were thinking about that one. A crease violation by Ratcliffe, I guess, on the shot. Ratcliffe ran right underneath of O'Toole.
Late call by Mike Ventura, but he made the call. Tom Marichek was in the crease earlier on before the shot. The Philadelphia faithful certainly isn't happy with the call, but Pat O'Toole dodged the bullet right there and did not allow Philadelphia to go into the locker room with a 2-goal lead.
We've got that minute and a half left in this first half. Meanwhile, Ratcliffe for Philadelphia and Reggie Thorpe are in the box. Teams will still be at even strength. Here it is again. Marichek behind the back, great, off the feet. He didn't know where it was. O'Toole kind of lost it. Great timing by Marichek to shoot when the goalie did not expect a shot. It's one of the strengths of Tommy Marichek. He does it all on the offensive end. Johnny Grant comes in and he beats Dallas Elliott. Grant got a great move on the far side. Instead of using his back-end power move, he just did a great split dodge. He came right down to beat Dallas Elliott. Game tied at 6.
Well, when you're about to close out the half, you go to your go-to man, and your go-to guy is John Grant. John Grant, they find him, they get him going to the net. Here he is, big move, big strong fake, sets Dallas up, it hits the pipe, bounces down, goes back in. Great goal by John Grant when they needed it to tie it up at 6 with 1:14 to go in this first half. So great goal by John Grant. He's a go-to guy. Paul Day, you know, if you could write it up to give it to your top gun, he did just that.
Grant, very difficult to play one-on-one, and Jay Jabber looked like he was lined up and kind of isolated with Grant. Almost impossible to not do that with some help. John Grant kind of sensed that and just went right at him. Randy Mearns, the captain, into Corey Bomberry, backside, and there's the perfect Bomberry to Jacobs textbook Rochester finish. In transition, always look for a backside player. It might be Jacobs on the left or a Malowski on the right, but they will move the ball stick to stick.
The ball moves faster than the man. Rochester is so good at finding the open man. Peter Jacobs has to slide to try to stop Corey Bomberry. Once he does, it leaves the vacancy for Dwayne Jacobs on the far side to just put it home. Incredible stick work and ball movement by Rochester to get the goal right there. 2 goals very quickly. Rochester up 7-6.
Well, Philly had the lead, had a 1-goal lead with less than 2 minutes, 1:15 to go. And right then, Grant scored, followed up 15 seconds later, or 20 seconds later, by that Stewie Jacobs goal, and maybe another one as they come down and put pressure, but Tommy Fair makes the great check to take it out of the stick of the Rochester KNIGHTHAWKS. Intense pressure put on by Rochester in transition. And that's really where they've been making a lot of great offensive moves today. They're pushing the offense and scoring in transition. Mark Millen waiting for a pick, a little bit of action, looks far side for a feed, can't get it. Shot clock down to 4, he doesn't have much time. Takes a shot from the outside, it doesn't hit the goal. Violation of the shot clock. 30 seconds will give the ball back to Rochester with 12 seconds left. They call timeout. Paul Day wants yet another goal. He has scored 2 goals in the last 1:14 of the second quarter, erasing the Philadelphia lead, and he has a chance to add 1 to it.
Why not take a timeout with 12 seconds left when you've scored so quickly the last 2? Great opportunity right here that Rochester can get the ball right now with a pass down to their offensive end and get the opportunity to go up with a 2-goal lead in halftime after being down 2 goals.
John Grant, the only multiple goal scorer in the game. He's got 3. Everybody else has 1 on both teams. Tony Resch making sure everybody knows what to expect. They've scouted this team. They know what they usually do on a timeout call. They know John Grant will be a piece of it. What piece? You just have to guess.
Here again, showing John Grant really going through a couple of the Wings defenders, putting the ball in the net. Philadelphia at this point in the game right now, or at this point, you gotta toughen up on defense. Tony Resch, I'm sure, is telling him, don't let John Grant get the ball. Don't let the offensive man get an uninterrupted lane to the goal. Get in his way, knock him down.
And where Rochester is they pulled the goalie, so they've got a 6-on-5 situation. And they are so tough off the ball. That's what makes Rochester hard to defend. Bomberry, Grant with a hard shot to Dallas. The pickup shot by Malowski again, but he stepped in the crease. Kurt Malowski did a great job again of getting the rebound and putting it behind Elliott. His foot was in the crease. That one didn't count.
Great opportunity for Rochester with the 6-on-5 advantage. Malowski right there on where you call the garbage area to pick up that goal. He almost had it. Dallas Elliott with a big save, but Malowski had his toe on the crease, in the crease, and it's going to go Philadelpia's way.
1.8 seconds, probably not enough to get a shot off even, but Philadelphia dodged one there. They'll go into this halftime down by 1, and they had a 1-goal lead with 1:14 left in this half. This game is within reach of both of these fine teams and explosive offenses.
Right now, I'd have to say that Rochester, no question, is going in the locker room with the momentum. They feel strong and confident about what they've just done to be able to score the goals as quickly as they have to go in to the half with a 1-goal lead after almost being down by 2.
It's definitely been a game of swings. It's been multiple goal scoring by each team. 2 by Rochester to start, answered by 2 by Philly. That was the first quarter. Then Rochester got 3 straight in 1.5 minutes in the second quarter, answered by 4 straight by Philadelphia. Just when they thought they had control, Rochester comes back and scores a pair to put us at the 7-6 score. Rochester just packing it in front of the crease. It's going to be a long throw as Tony Resch looks on. They'll have 1.8 seconds. Mark Millen will just go right for the goal with a shot. They'll try to block people out of the way, and the ball actually went through the legs of all the players, but it wasn't on goal. They tried to screen the goalie, Pat O'Toole, and that'll be the end of the first half. It'll end at 7-6, Rochester in front. We're back back in Philadelphia with playoff 1 of the National Lacrosse League for 2001. The Champions Cup is at stake. One team will advance to play the winner of Washington and Toronto, the defending champs. Lee Felsmo, Scott Gabrielson here in Philly at the First Union Center as Tony Resch and Paul Day from Rochester have their teams ready to get the second half started.
It really goes down to one half right now, Lee. For one team, for both teams right now, it comes down to one half. It's been a long season. The winner goes on to the championship. The loser goes home. That's what makes this game so great. Dallas Elliott is a guy that's got to stand on his head, play so great for Philadelphia. Pat O'Toole on the other end needs to do the same thing. But right now, this is the playoffs. The winner goes to championship. These guys were in the locker rooms telling each other, this is what we've worked so hard for the past 6-7 months, to get it done, to get to the championship game. As this ball's faced off, the next time that they leave the field, somebody's going to the championship game.
Jacobs, that's Hanford again, I'm sorry, number 5 for Philadelphia. Jacobs is out there, which is the confusing part of it. He's playing on the wing. Sometimes he goes up to take the draw, but it was Hanford taking the draw against MacArthur for Rochester. A technical violation, a quick move, gives the ball to the wings. Marechek and Berge working a two-man side. They got 3 guys on the left side. A little more room for Marechek and Berge. A different look as Marechek comes in and gets snuffed by O'Toole. Scott, Rochester was late coming out of the halftime. They almost, the last seconds before they showed up on the floor. What does that tell you?
Well, they've got
big talk by Paul Davis.
Absolutely. They're probably going over a lot in that locker room of what to do to counter the defensive efforts by Philadelphia and to continue the surge that they've got going on offense to try to get themselves a cushion to get back to that 3rd consecutive championship.
Jacobs, 24, lined up on Grant, 24, his number's sake. Goes behind the goal to Malowski, who's always around the goal. Dishes backside, and Elliott with a sensational sliding save to take it away from Rochester. Malowski just worked it perfectly, being all around the goal. He went backdoor, and somehow Dallas Elliott covered the distance to make the stop.
Big save, but a careless clear by Philadelphia. Great effort by Malowski on the other end to check the ball and give it right back to Rochester on their offensive end.
Rochester reloads on offense. Way out front, but around the back of the goal is Dwayne Jacobs. Dwayne Jacobs so hard to cover. He gets the ball in front. He can release the ball so quickly.
Over and back violation by Rochester, but Rochester is really working the ball around. They're passing it left and right, skip passing. Here's the reason why Philadelphia's doing so well right now. Huge acrobatic save by Dallas Elliott with almost a kick save and a butte there by Dallas.
Goalies have been sensational in both goals. O'Toole, very strong. Elliott, very strong. These are 2 of the best in the league. Berge gets some room off the elbow of O'Toole. Berge finally went into the middle. He had been working the side and being pushed out the whole game. This time, they put 3 guys on the other side, gave him some more room to work, and he went to the middle, found his mark.
What we always said in our championship years was big players playing big in big games. This is a big game. Jake Berge needs to play big. Here he is, taking on his shoulders. Get it done, Jake. Going through a couple Rochester defenders, sets up O'Toole, jams it home. Big pick by Marechek. Berge, 2 hands on the stick, strong, bulls through those checks, sees the upper left-hand corner, punches that upper, beats O'Toole. We got a tie ball game at 7-7.
And one adjustment that I've mentioned a couple times, Scott, is they switched over where they went a lot of 3-man side on the left side with Radcliffe. It seemed to clog things up for Berge. Looks like they're starting this half with 3 guys on the left-handed side. It gives Marechek and Berge a little more room. He's had a couple good looks.
No question. Great strategic move by the offensive coach of Philadelphia, Adam Mueller. Give Berge and Marechek more room. Get Radcliffe on the other side. Radcliffe helps you, but he turned, right there, great swarming D by Rochester.
Turner comes in, the most improved player on the Rochester team, gets it to the middle. 2 big saves by Elliott. He can't make the 3rd, and they'll get the score that ties the game. Actually, 7-7. This will be 8-7. They go back up by 1. So Rochester answers the goal by Philly and now lead by 1. Cordingley held the ball to the last minute to beat Elliott.
Great effort right there by Rochester. Incredible shot over the back by Andrew Turner. Troy Cordingley's there at the right opportunity. Again, big shot off the glass. Little shot over the, trying to get the back. Cordingley takes his time, fakes Dallas. Dallas overcommits. Cordingley puts the ball in the net.
The Wings come up with the face-off. Dave Stilley, the captain, to Berge. They've got the 3 lefties in there this time. Again, opening up more room for Marechek. On the other side, it's Clark, Millen, and Tommy Ryan. More room for Berge. He had another great look at the goal, but he came into the crease and there'll be no shot. But he's getting a big path to the goal, unlike the first half where there was just too many bodies to go through.
Berge, for a big guy, is so quick on his feet. He sets up Rochester, the Rochester defender by himself. Here's the setup that they want to get. Zach is playing, more of an offensive player, is playing Berge on defense. He almost gets the inside roll and the goal. Rochester defense slides, pushes Berge into O'Toole, and it's going back to Philadelphia.
Philly will have the ball. Let's see if Rochester makes an adjustment on this new look in the offense. It's nothing new. They have a lot of different formations Philadelphia runs. Sometimes they'll run the 3 lefties, sometimes 3 righties. It seemed like in the first half they were definitely heavy on the 3 righties most of the half. This half they're starting out putting a lot of weight on the other side. It seems to have opened things up for Philly. O'Toole up and moving around. He was knocked a little dizzy on that last one. His helmet came off. Berge kind of plowed right through. I tell you, Jake Berge hitting you, even when he's not trying to hit you hard, is a load. He is a very strong player.
By that push, it resulted in a penalty. Philadelphia back in the power play. 5-on-4 advantage.
See how they work it and what they learned on Rochester. Rochester cut a lot of the passes early on. That came into Berge. He had a good shot, but picked up by Rochester. Holding the call against Philadelphia. It was on Tom Marechek off the ball. They're saying they held to keep a fast break for going up.
Wow.
That hold, but I think off the ball. Look to your right. Look to your right. Even more. Marechek. C32 MacArthur. I think it was Marechek on MacArthur.
They're calling a little too tight there, Leaf. Great wrap check by Jeff Radcliffe.
It was Radcliffe going in the box. So
got the ball, a little bit of the shoulder in the helmet, but I think they're just trading penalties there.
So you got 4-on-4 for a little while, but it'll be Rochester getting the man advantage after they wait out this 4-on-4. We talked about how dangerous this is when you only have 4 guys in the field. A guy like John Grant can really go to town and get one-on-one with Tom Fair. He's got about a 30-pound advantage on Tom Fair. Tom Fair very tough and gets the ball down into the boards. Fair just kicks it out to Elliott. And Tommy Fair, who was brought here for his intensity and his defense, does the job.
He just earned his keep right there on defense, shutting down John Grant, turning it over. The defensive specialists for Philadelphia just did their job, shut him down. Let's see if Rochester on the other end with their defensive unit can shut down Philadelphia.
Marechek, little fake, tries to go to the far pipe. Not much of an angle for Tom. He's had his best looks behind the back when he sweeps around the front. Turner sets it up for the Nighthawks. Rusty Kruger settles down the 4-on-4. Trying to get to the crease again accordingly. Mike Buzza with a good defensive check that time. Timmy Sudan got a great outside shot. Looks for a little bit of a screen. Tries to get Jalbert to screen Dallas Elliott. Jalbert working Timmy Sudan. Sudan comes to the far side. Can't beat Dallas Elliott.
Very
good defense by Jalbert, and great offense by Sudan. It was a good play all the way around.
Very tough unit for Rochester right there in offense with Sudan, with Mearns, okay, with Rusty Kruger. They're getting their top guys on offense to get those shots. Excellent defense by Jalbert to turn it over.
Tommy Marechek up top with a lot of room. Watch behind him. Here comes a player out of the box. Rochester now with a man advantage. Marechek tried to get the shot clock reset, but he missed the goal, so here comes Rochester. Now they'll have their 5-on-4. So that one penalty on Radcliffe took away any chance. Now he comes out of the box, so it didn't really hurt him that much. Inside, Kruger with a bounce shot over the pipe. Jacobs tries to get the loose ball. Peter Jacobs for the Wings. Dwayne Jacobs for Rochester. Tommy Slade going into the boards with John Grant, who just hammers him into the glass. Here come the Wings. Tommy Fair This time he pulls it back. The ball's stuck in his stick. He gets it out. Radcliffe backdoors it to Clark, and it almost works. Here comes Rochester. They're running. Kruger on the backside. Hanford trying to pick it up cleanly, cannot get possession. Watch out, Grant might have the ball. Nope. Mike Buzza looks behind, checks for trailing players offensively and defensively. Buzza makes a big move inside. He goes for the corner and just misses the pipe. Things are raggy here. Great intensity by both teams, but nothing settled. Finneran will back it off for a minute, but he knows he only has 10 seconds on the shot clock. Finneran, a left-hander on the wrong side. He's got to shoot righty from here. He underhands it. Bounced out by O'Toole. They get a fresh 30, but Casey Zaff gets possession to O'Toole. That was a crazy 3 minutes.
Yes, it was. Up and down, back and forth, fast breaks one way, fast breaks the other. Then a set offensive stance right there, and Philadelphia turns it over. When the ball's on the ground, there's got to be everybody swarming over the ground ball to gain possession.
Ball digs into the corner. 8-7, the Hawks up in front as each team has scored in the third quarter. Randy Mearns, shot clock violation there, and they go deep into the corner, giving the ball back to the wings. Philadelphia comes back up to reset their offense. They started the second half with a goal by Berge, great power move about less than 2 minutes into the second half, but accordingly answered to keep Rochester up by 1. Anybody's game in this first National Lacrosse League playoff game for 2001. Philly pushing the offense. Marichek in tight, looking for Millen. Again, a lefty on the right-handed side. We saw Finneran caught over here, and we just saw Millen, the lefty, caught on the right-hander side. Unusual that you get your lefties and righties mixed up. It kind of cost him in shooting angle, and O'Toole gets the ball back.
A great ground ball by Tom Marichek. You see just his ability to pick up the ball. Incredible ground ball to give Mark Millen that opportunity to almost finish for a goal for Philadelphia.
Timmy Sudan, the assistant captain. Great UMass player before Millen's time. He's played on the world team, tremendous shooter, and there he puts one right in Dallas Elliott. Both goalies stepping up, knowing that it's going to be on their shoulders. Only one team gets to go to the championship game. The winner of this game takes on the winner of Toronto, Washington, played tomorrow night at the Air Canada Center. Radcliffe in close, under the legs. He's got a goal. Let's see if they call it off. I think he shot before he came in. Yes! This will be a tie game, and give Radcliffe all kinds of credit for not touching the white chalk.
Great effort by Jeff Radcliffe. Takes it in. Big defense by Dwayne Jacobs. A trip on Radcliffe. However, he keeps his feet, gets up, sees O'Toole drop to his knees, and puts the ball in. Another look at it. Here we go. Radcliffe picks up the ball, sees a 5-hole, buries it home. We're tied at 8-8.
Action's heating up. Game's tied at 8. When we come back to the First Union Center, a playoff game for the National Lacrosse League will continue. It's playoff weekend as they move toward the Champions Cup. Stick with us right here from the First Union Center. The action of the National Lacrosse League can now be yours on a video game. Blast Lacrosse is the new game produced by Acclaim for the Sony PlayStation. You can order your copy of Blast Lacrosse online at NLLProShop.com. The game features National Lacrosse League teams and players. It's your one-stop shop for all National Lacrosse League merchandise. NLLProShop.com. Game tied at 8. Playoff game number 1 in this championship weekend as we move toward the championship next week. Winner here plays Toronto, Washington's winner tomorrow night. You can see we're still in the third quarter. Leif Elsmo along with Scott Gabrielson. And we're also joined now in the booth by the commissioner of the National Lacrosse League, Jim Jennings. Jim, your first year on the job, you've done sensational things. Expansion is on your plate, and you're doing a great job. Talk about it.
Well, we're excited about moving out to the west coast of Canada. We've announced an expansion team in Vancouver and also one in Calgary that will play the next season. It will play the 2001-2002 season. And, you know, with that, we also have great interest in Edmonton. We feel Edmonton will be on in 2002, 2003. And then from there, we're going to start concentrating here on the U.S. with our expansion here.
New Jersey's on the board, of course. We had an interview with the prospective owner there. So a lot of cities looking at this great sport.
They really are. I mean, I think this is our coming out party this year. The great crowds that we get here in Philadelphia, the sold out crowds we've had at the Air Canada Center in Toronto. You know, my job really coming in to this year was really to take this sport national, both here in the United States and Canada. And you know, it's been pretty easy to do, to be quite honest with you. You know, the sport really sells itself.
Jim, let's talk about the talent pool. We've got kids watching this game coast to coast right now. Matter of fact, out in Kansas City, Ryan Klein is sitting there with his buddy Allen. They're playing indoor lacrosse for the first time. They've got 2 wins already. They love the sport, and they're looking for opportunity to play in maybe 5, 6, 7 years.
Well, that's the goal. You know, our goal is to make this like the NHL, you know, have 27 teams, you know, and make it the 5th major league sport. I mean, that's what we said we were going to do when we came in. And, you know, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a few more years. But, you know, if we always keep looking at that goal to do it, we'll have National Lacrosse League teams in Kansas City, you know, in Los Angeles, you know, all in Dallas, you know, cities like that that really we think could field the National Lacrosse team and be successful as it is here in Philadelphia.
The playoff matchups have been sensational. Scott, I think this matchup couldn't be any better. The teams we have here and the teams we have there. I think you wanted to ask Commissioner Jennings a question.
No, it just shows where the talent is for this league to make it so an easy sell, so to speak. But really, Jim, you've done such a great job at bringing the National Lacrosse League to the forefront, letting it be known once again. You deserve incredible credit for what you've done in regards to this league. The fact that we're going into expansion, we're on to the west coast of Canada. I mean, you deserve all the credit in the world, and it's about time. Welcome. We're glad to have you.
I appreciate that, Scott. I really appreciate that. But like you said, and I said earlier, I mean, this sport is such a great sport. It really all it needs to be exposed, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to expose it to as many people as we can, and we feel that this sport's really going to take off.
Meanwhile, Philadelphia has the 5-on-4. They're in a power play situation. Berge inside, looking for rope. He can't find it. O'Toole makes the sweeping save. Game still tied at 8. Collar getting a little tighter around the defense of both the players and, of course, goalies. They're huge, Scott. Each goalie stop becomes critical. As we continue the action, we'll thank Jim Jennings and wish you continued success this year and next.
Great. Thanks for having me on, Leaf. Appreciate it, Scott.
Look forward to a great championship, Jim.
Yep, me too. Thank you.
All right, the whistle blows on the floor, and Philadelphia in the gray and black sends Tom Marechek to the box. It'll be Rochester with a man up, and this is not good as you see this transition play from O'Toole, and Marechek has to play a little defense. He hammers Casey Zapp to the ground, and that'll put him in the penalty box. So it's a penalty play for Rochester. They'll be 5 against 4.
Tom Marechek not happy with this call at all. I mean, there's a little athletic ability for you. That ball ended up almost to the center ice scoreboard right there. But, you know, the reaction by Tom Marechek was to an outstanding outlet pass by O'Toole that got to the far end. Tom Marechek, with all he could do, was a cross-check in the back, but he's going to be in the penalty box for 2 minutes.
Well, I think we were told by Scoop, stats emeritus over here, that it might be a 4-minute penalty. Technical foul was called after the 2. So 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike on top of the push.
Ouch.
This is a tough part of the game for that to happen. We'll see how it pans out. Fans, you can now shop for your favorite team's clothing and souvenirs at the National Lacrosse League's new online store. Just log on to the league's official website, nationallacrosse.com, and click on the new NLL Pro Shop. Show your team spirit today. Visit the Pro Shop at nationallacrosse.com. Tony Resch, not thinking about shopping right now. He's shopping for a championship. This team with such great tradition. 5 championships here in Philly as John Grant comes into the crease. They don't call anything. After the shot, he landed in there. And look, it gives him another shot, but Elliott makes a foot save on Malowski. Hard to believe. Doesn't get much better than that. Elliott standing up, having just made 1 save, puts out his right foot and stops Malowski.
You certainly can see the emotion in Tony Resch, but to make a call like that, which is really a judgment call in a playoff game, in a tie ball game is not the right play to make right now at this point in the game at all. So I can see his frustration. I think Paul Day would react the same way if his team was called with a penalty like that. Let the guys play.
Millen picks up the ball. He'll take a shot, but the stick check takes it wide of the mark. Randy Mearns with a great stick check, taking the shot away from Millen, at least the ball away from the net. Ellick really active in the goal, Scott.
He is. He sees the ball from everywhere. Here it is, the great pick and roll. Malowski right on top of him, sees 3 fakes right there. Kirk takes the shot, Dallas makes the save.
78 saves on 106 shots. It's a pretty good year for this boy.
He's been quite successful against Rochester. Rochester gets a lot of shots on top of Elliott, and he's there to make the save, and big ones at that.
Mike Buzza digs the ball out, gives it to the far side. Tommy Fair right away hands it off to Finneran. He fakes that to Radcliffe, just takes his time. They want to eat up some clock here, obviously. They'd like nothing more than to get out of this third quarter tied at 8. Having to play most of the final moments shorter man. Kevin Finneran gets pushed into the crease, and they're going to give him a goal. He came in, did not go to his left, and he just kind of like semi-dunked it over O'Toole. Ace Ventura, the referee, walked in very slowly. I thought he was going to call a push, and then he kind of very slowly raised his hands. That one counts, folks. It's a short-handed goal for the Wings by Kevin Finneran.
Wow, I think everybody's got their eyes open on that goal.
Like everybody wants to see the replay.
That's for sure. Tony Resch wants to see it. Kevin Finneran makes a strong inside left move with the stick in his right hand, trying to dip underneath the Rochester defender. Basically gets the ball checked out, and he gets knocked into the crease. The ball dribbles in underneath O'Toole's legs. That's a goal. Philadelphia up 9-8.
First playoff goal for Kevin Finneran, who has played more games than any other Wings player in consecutive fashion. And Scott, you know what that's all about because you had the record, I think, before he did.
Yep, I did. And Kevin took it. It's well-deserved. He's an Ironman out there at 36 years old, playing great. Started his career off with the New England Blazers, came into Philadelphia. Great career out of Ohio Wesleyan University. Has just been a great leader for Philadelphia for years and gets it done off on the floor.
Take a look at this. Here's Finneran coming in. Didn't get over to his left hand. He wanted to get into his left hand, but he kind of right-handed. Little semi-dunk over the shoulder of O'Toole.
That's one that Finneran's been working on for a while, you know, to see if he can get that one-handed shot in behind his back with a push from behind. Now it's a goal that gets in there. These opportunities sometimes are created, and there's a goal for Philadelphia.
What a great goal. They were down for 4 minutes. The penalty to Tom Marichek, who was really hustling on defense, got caught on a transition play. And here is Rochester really hoping to get that one answered. They're down by 1 as the ball goes back court. Now they'll have to slide out with their defensive players. More time coming off that clock. Tony Resch liking what he sees.
Strong defensive effort or man-down defense by Philadelphia. Rochester's only been successful, you know, it's 2 for 3 for their power plays. That's good. They'll take that every time against the strong, accurate shooting of Rochester.
They're a man short, Philadelphia, but Rochester not applying a lot of pressure, maybe a little bit dazed from the last score by Finneran, which was a short-handed goal. Berge takes 2 or 3 players to stop him, and they are lined up to do just that. Philadelphia already has their defensive guys out. They're not wasting any time. It was Radcliffe and Berge by themselves on one end of the field against 5 Rochester Knighthawks. Meanwhile, Tony Resch had his other 3 guys back out in the defensive end. He was not going to risk getting any kind of transition trouble.
Smart play, just burn up some time off the clock, get the right personnel on the floor for your man-down defense, and that's what they have.
Accordingly, up top, Dwayne Jacobs with 3 fakes, and Dallas Elliott sends it into the crowd.
Great save by Elliott in front of the defense of Peter Jacobs, Tom Fair, Tom Slate, as well as Dan Radeball. Huge save right here. Great ball movement by Rochester. Dwayne Jacobs sets up Elliott, but Elliott with a huge save with a shot in his face.
It's a combination that's part of the Philadelphia Wings formula. Rochester has been in the playoffs every year of their existence, 7 years. They have their own formula. It's great with off-ball movement, great stick work and passing. Philadelphia has a tradition that uses Wings players on the field and off the field. And I'll tell you what, for many years it started with great goaltending. And Dallas Elliott really puts the lid on other teams in the fourth quarter.
No question. I mean, Philadelphia's been in the playoffs 14 out of their 15 years. Here are two teams that are used to being in contention for the big game at the end of the year. Rochester's been there for the last 2 years. Philadelphia has had a drought since 1998. They want to get back. It couldn't be more evenly matched as we go into the last minute of the third quarter.
In the last 36 seconds, Scott, of the penalty, they've done a great job having even scored, and now there's a penalty to the Rochester KNIGHTHAWKS. The Wings have effectively dodged that 4-minute penalty to their phenomenal scoring player, Tommy Marichek, who was called on defense, had a gutsy play from behind, and then a technical, a 4-minute penalty. Finneran scored as a result, shorthanded, and they are only 36 seconds from being even up. This is a kind of a moment you might want to circle on your tape, because this last 3 minutes, Scott, could be the difference in this game.
No question. Here we are at 4-on-4. Rochester has their strong defensive players. Mike Hasten, Reggie Thorpe, Brad MacArthur, the guys that are trying to get it done, the guys that need to shut them down, and Casey Zapp there to try to lead the transition up the floor.
Thorpe gets it up quickly to Zapp. Philadelphia just drops in to try to stop the transition. They get another player inside. They could not quite pull it off. Great play as Malowski came flying off the bench and got in between the defense that was already there. He just didn't make the connection on the pass.
Big break there. Malowski 9 times out of 10 is going to catch that ball. He didn't there. Philadelphia gets it back.
5-on-4. Berge puts it on O'Toole as the time winds down. It was an extra man shot. O'Toole makes the save, but the Wings scored 2 this quarter. Accordingly, the only score for Rochester. So after having started this quarter 1 goal down, Philadelphia has climbed back to lead by 1. 1 quarter left from the First Union Center. Dallas Elliott has been sensational late in games his whole career. No difference tonight.
One of the reasons why Philadelphia's been successful for 10 years, Dallas Elliott's been making saves like this. Big saves, players on top of him from outside, quick passes, big saves, big fakes by Dwayne Jacobs. Dallas Elliott has been there to make the saves for Philadelphia. As we start the fourth quarter, here's the guy, 27 saves on 37 shots by Dallas Elliott. He's been the difference for Philadelphia. He's the leader on defense. It starts with him. He's doing his job.
And I'll tell you what, he won't get any weaker in the fourth quarter. He is so tough. Score by quarters. You can see Rochester with that 1-goal advantage in the second, but then Philadelphia 3-1 in the third.
You can hear the crowd getting on their feet, really raising the roof here. Within the next 15 minutes, somebody's going to the World Championship and the National Lacrosse League. All right, it's down to 15 minutes. Ball game 9-8. Philadelphia's leading. This is where everybody lets it all hang out. Nothing to save it for.
5-on-4. Philly starts with a man advantage. Berge with a big shot, goes for the corner, can't find rope. Just a little bit high, but it's a possession shot. Shot clock winding down. He's got a shot from way outside, and Marichek takes that shot, but doesn't hit the net. So the possession will go to Rochester. I'm going to correct it on the Finneran goal. I thought it was a shorthanded goal. I was corrected. It was a 4-on-4 situation. So Finneran was an even situation. Each team was short 1 guy.
Here's Rochester. Although they're a man down, they're still going to the goals as hard as they can. Dave Stilley's kind of playing that backup role, standing in as the safety, trying to create the slide for Rochester and having a defender there.
Dwayne Jacobs tries to get it out to Grant. Not much angle for him. Grant stays there and makes it hard to clear. Now the Wings come up. 15 minutes left to find out who will take on the winner of Toronto, Washington. That game played tomorrow at the Air Canada Center. It's a championship playoff weekend here for the National Lacrosse League. Still 5-on-4. Tried to get it into Marichek, missed, and to Berge. Radcliffe Not much room, steps in the crease as he tries the inside move on Sedan. Sedan too smart for that one, gave him no room at all.
He's been successful on the move, but O'Toole is right there as well to shut the door on that inside roll by Jeff Ratcliffe.
See the shots, Rochester about 9 short of Philadelphia, who's put a lot of pressure on O'Toole. And a lot of those are transition. Here comes transition right now. It'll be Buzza. Buzza one-on-one, looking for rope. He can't get it. He hits the pipe with a follow-up shot. In by Ratcliffe. It's a 2-goal lead for Philly.
Incredible effort by Mike Buzza right there, picking up a ground ball and a great defensive effort at the other end. Mike Buzza gets the one-on-one break, the transition coming down the floor on O'Toole. Philadelphia's going crazy here. The fans are crazy. Here's a great look at Mike Buzza. Barreling down on Pat O'Toole. Big fake. It hits the crossbar. Jeff Ratcliffe coming from the bench, picks it up, puts it in. Buzza off the pipe. Ratcliffe fake, sets O'Toole up. He's down on one knee, sees the open net, jams it home. Here's a great look at it right here. Ratcliffe with a big fake on O'Toole. The only thing he had was under O'Toole's arm. He puts it there, scores the goal. His 3rd playoff goal on the power play. Philadelphia goes up by 2, 10-8.
And again, he was using a little bit of that philosophy of getting O'Toole on his knees. O'Toole has had a sensational year. He's a great goalie, one of the best. But he will have a tendency to go to his knees. And Ratcliffe got him down and then went up over the top. Nothing O'Toole could do.
The book on O'Toole, as even Jake Berge alluded to, is that when you give him a big fake, he's gonna drop. He's gonna commit to himself. He commits to a knee there on Ratcliffe and then some other goals, and then Philadelphia capitalizes by putting it upstairs.
Philly putting a lot of pressure. Millen looking inside to Ryan. Millen still circles the goal. Back to Ryan, who could not connect with that feed. Here comes Rochester. Plenty of time left in this 4th quarter. First playoff game of 2001. Sedan gets it in close. It's Bomberry, who's checked from behind by Stille. Stille on the fast break, looks for a trailing player. He's got Berge to his left. He's got Marichek up front, but he just pulls back and takes the possession.
Great defense by Dave Stille. Big hard check, picks up the ground ball. Also has the smarts and presence of mind to give the ball up. Don't force it. Get a new 30, get the offensive guys on, and take advantage of that.
Look at Dwayne Jacobs, takes it right out of Clark's stick. But on the field to play defense is Radeball. Dan Radeball in tremendous shape, maybe the best shape of his life. Comes out and gets the ball right back to Dallas Elliott. A few years ago, I don't think Danny could have made that kind of run. Boy, he was really coming out of there smoking.
Great speed by the Rock.
Finneran up top. Millen with the great change of direction. Marichek thought he had a little bit of a seam. He's a great shooter with a big arsenal, and that time, a lot of times out top, he'll look for a screen. If he thinks the goalie doesn't see his stick, he'll just hit a spot, and he does it very effectively. I think we're going to send 2 players to the box. It'll be Reggie Thorpe and Radcliffe. We're getting banged around on the backside. Tony Resch saying, come on, this is the enforcer. Reggie Thorpe for the Rochester Knighthawks.
We had some extracurriculars going on over by the Philadelphia bench. Reggie Thorpe's trying to get off. Jeff Ratcliffe's trying to get off. Thorpe was putting a little pressure on him. Both guys threw a couple elbows up in each other's heads. Helmets came off, but they're both headed to the bench for 2 minutes each. Reggie Thorpe, there's a look at a guy, tough as nails, a great leader for Rochester, a pure ground ball guy, works as hard as he can on every shift. He's the unsung hero for Rochester, a great team leader, and leads by example.
Paul Day not panicking at all yet. He knows there's plenty of time left in this game, and his team right now will have a 5-on-4 advantage. Ratcliffe and Marichek go into the box. So Rochester has their explosive power play out there. So they can get this back to a 1-goal game with one here. Bomberry starts up high. Malowski will be down his side low. Kruger circles the goal. Dwayne Jacobs inside as they all focus on Grant. Now the little rotation. Bomberry up top. Jacobs parked backside. So is Kruger. Always moving. There he is. Rusty Kruger with the redirect. They get possession and they get a fresh 30. This team is so dangerous off the ball. They move the ball so well. And there's one of those, oh, John Grant's shot, he came back off of Dallas Elliott. He almost got a second shot, which would have been very tough to save. Ball in close, and John Grant behind his back with one hand. Malofsky follows it up. How many times have we seen Kurt Malofsky get a ball that was not caught cleanly and put it right back home? He is sensational at second shots.
Just incredible ball movement by Rochester. They had that ball zinging around. Every single player in that extra man team touched the ball. It ended up great shots by John Grant. Kurt Malofsky ended up getting the ball. Ball movement, find the open man in an extra man situation. Rochester does just that. The big errant shot. Hasten gets it down low, gets it out to Malofsky, sets up Elliott, puts it home. Doesn't fool around, just jams it in the net. Gets his second goal of the game. Kurt Malofsky.
That old tool almost got caught out of the goal. He didn't throw it away. He kept that ball and got it back to his teammates. Hollenbeck brings it up. And now it's a one-goal game. These teams are at even strength. Rochester. The dangerous John Grant. This is Malofsky initiating this time. Into Grant. He's got the ball. Fakes high behind the back and then goes low to the opposite corner. Boy, he makes it tough to read for a goalie.
Tough to defend as well. A lot of times defenders can be fooled thinking that John Grant has already passed the ball or fed it, but he still has the ball. Defender lightens, lets up a little bit on defense. John Grant gets the shot or gets the assist. Incredible stick work and just a great smart player.
Stille runs right through the stick check of Randy Mearns. Philadelphia comes in, big fake, just freezes O'Toole, and then Marechek sticks it on the backside. Great stop-and-go shot by Tommy Marechek. They're back up by 2.
Incredible shot by Tom Marechek, almost with no angle at all. Comes down the left-hand side as a right-hander. Here he is, reaches around Pat O'Toole with no angle and jams it home. We've seen that same goal by Tom Marechek a couple times. Here you are looking right in his face. Wraps around Pat O'Toole. He's even with the goal. Toes the line, reaches around. Almost a near-far type shot. Jams it home. Tom Marechek, fantastic goal. Philly up by 2.
Tom Marechek scored the first goal of the night for Philadelphia. Hasten and Grant got Rochester off to a quick start, and Marechek answered to get Philly back in the game. And he does a great job of extending the lead here for his team. Rochester, always dangerous. 2 goals, nothing for an offense in the National Lacrosse League. That can be made up that quickly. Jacobs had a little bit of a screen. He saw a little bit of a target, and what great accuracy by the veteran Dewey Jacobs.
Tells you what an inch will give you. Lack of communication by Philadelphia on their defensive switch. Jacobs and Radeball got tied up with as well as Gilbert. They left Dwayne Jacobs wide open. It was a late slide. Dwayne Jacobs is so accurate with his shooting. He makes the Philadelphia Wings pay just for that split-second tardiness getting on that slide. Dwayne Jacobs, a veteran player, just a fantastic leader for their team as well. Crafty player, great shot, puts it away. It's back to a 1-goal game.
I mean, nobody's better than Jacobs in that finishing in the transition areas. He is just so sensational, moving with the ball, coming across the crease and getting feeds. Native American, lawyer, has had to go to law school the last few years and play professional lacrosse. Didn't have to, did so and did it at a very high level. About 35 years old and playing as good as he ever has. There's another shot by Jacobs. That's exactly the move I talked about. He comes in, slashing across the crease. They feed it to him. He always picks it up and puts it on net. And Elliott made the big save that time. Over 10,000 fans here in Philadelphia, cranking up the energies. The hometown Wings tied for second, coming in 10-4. Want to advance to the final. Millen, double team, comes up with the ball, looks for help, gets cross-checked by Corey Bomberry. Stood up in his tracks, and here comes Bomberry, trying to get it to Reggie Thorpe. Clark after him. Tommy Fair comes in to lock the ball against the boards.
Level intensity certainly is picked up now. Great defensive effort by Rochester, turning the ball over. Here you go, 11-10, 1-goal lead by Philadelphia.
We'll take a short break from the First Union Center. We'll come back to this semifinal game from the National Lacrosse League. Rochester behind the wings by 1. We're back to action. Mad Dog down there as the Philadelphia Wings hold on to a very slim 11-10 lead. Dewey Jacobs scored the last goal of the game, and that was for Rochester. They've gone back and forth, Scott, in the last quarter, which they had never had done in the whole game. It was always swings, 2 goals here, 2 goals there, 3 goals, maybe 4. Now they're alternating goals with everything on the line. Berge up top. The ball checked out of his stick at the last moment. They don't have a fresh shot clock. 2 seconds left, not much time. Finneran puts it on net, great shot. Kevin didn't have much time, but O'Toole just really engulfs the whole shot, just sucked it up into his big padded midsection. I'd say these goalies bring in the armor, and they need to. These shots over 100 miles an hour. John Grant, lefty, rate a ball, hands him off to Stille. He does a full 360, and then another player comes in to rack him. 3 different wings just taking him to the carpet, and they'll get a penalty for it. So this is a free shot for Rochester. They take it from outside, and Dallas scoops it up. McGrady put one on Dallas Elliott. It'll be a 5-on-4. Extra man, a power play for the Rochester KNIGHTHAWKS. This could knot the game, tie it up with 6.5 minutes to go in this semifinal action.
Grant attracts a lot of attention. Tom Slate trying to shut him down with the big wrap, getting the penalty. Gets him high up on the slide. John Grant behind the net.
I think the penalty was the hit to the head. When you cross-check, you can do that in indoor league, but when you slide up and hit him in the head, that's when you'll find some time in the box.
Yep, well, that one just did just that. Got right up on the shoulder of John Grant, slipped up right into his neck, into his head, and Tom Slate's going to the box for 2 minutes.
Elliott getting a little bit of a wrap and, of course, a little bit of water. Very cagey, these goalies, and, of course, you want to get a little bit of break if you can. They have played an intense game in the defensive end, both O'Toole and Elliott. Tony Resch, a teacher here in the Philadelphia area. I mentioned an All-American on the defensive end of the field for Yale. Played on the '90 World Team that went to Australia. Brings a lot of intensity to his team, as you can tell by his look on the bench. Paul Day, a different kind of leader, a little laid back. Very articulate. Inside, going to Malowski. Couldn't make the connection. Down low. Malowski again with that finishing shot. Grant shields off. Tom Fair gets the ball back. Fakes the feed. 8 seconds left. Bomberry with a rocket shot that bounced well in front of the goal. A little too much bounce. Scott, if he had that one closer to the net, that might have been trouble.
Yeah, normally Bomberry aims for the corners, and he picks them quite accurately. That time he went for a bounce shot. A little too far out on the bounce, and it went up over the glass.
Tries to find Dewey Jacobs to the far side, a little out of his reach. Shot clock down to 15. Bomberry trying to get it to Malowski. Malowski didn't pick it off, and Dallas Elliott smart enough to read the ball the whole way and not assume that Malowski was going to catch it.
Look at the ball moving to Rochester, though, on their power play. They zip that ball around so well. Getting around, try to find the open man on that shot. Right there, they turn it over. Dallas with a big save. They almost got a 10-second violation. Tony Resch, presence of mind, calling a timeout. They're going to regroup.
Tony Resch trying to get everything calmed down a little bit. You see Peter Jacobs in front of him. He wanted to get things collected for the final 5:46. He has the lead. Are you in the market for a Rochester KNIGHTHAWKS sweatshirt or a Philadelphia Wings hat? You can now buy souvenirs from all National Lacrosse League teams online. Go to the league's official website. That's nationallacrosse.com, and click on the brand new NLL Pro Shop. It's all just a click away at nationallacrosse.com. Paul Day on the other side, getting his troops fired up. 1 goal is it's basically a tie game. Anybody can win this game. He just doesn't want the spread to get any farther than 1 goal. Great crowds here in Philadelphia. Scott Gabrielson, you are fully aware of what they do here with a high-energy crowd. They've got a lot of mascots, a lot of great fan enthusiasm. I think you've got a traveling group of fans that goes to more away games than anybody in the league. Tremendous fan base.
Great fan base, great loyalty. The Philadelphia fans are average probably about 15,000, 16,000 this season and every season. They love their Philadelphia Wings, and it's games like this that keep the fans coming. This league is so exciting. The Wings are so exciting because of this reason. 11-10, 5 minutes to go in the game. The winner goes to the championship. How can you not want to root for this kind of sport?
Ratcliffe gets dragged down to the right of your screen on the offensive end, but meanwhile, Tony Resch already had his 3 defensive guys on. He's using that tactic a lot, especially with the lead. He is not going to give up transition to this team again. He was burned by it for at least 3 goals this game, including the first 2 goals of the game, where they really just beat the defense of Philadelphia and came down and scored on Elliott. Bomberry puts one on Dallas, but it's picked up beautifully by Peter Jacobs. The All-American from Hopkins comes down, beats 2 players. Peter Jacobs looking for rope off the pipe. Jake almost got one there. It beat O'Toole, but he just was a ½ an inch from putting it in the net. Other side, Malowski, the tremendous touch shooter from the right side, and we had just talked about transition. Rochester stings the Wings again in transition.
So evident that if you don't cash in on a great opportunity, it's going to go the other way and it's going to hurt you bad. Peter Jacobs with tremendous defensive effort comes down, hits the pipe. Rochester picks the ball up, goes down in the transition. There's Kurt Malowski again. Gets the shot, sets Dallas Elliott up, and buries it home to tie the game at 11. McGlosky's got the hat-trick right there. He's having a fantastic game. Scoring in the game when it counts. Here's another look at it, off the pipe. Tim Sudan picks up the ground ball. Malowski all by himself on that right-hand side. Sets Dallas up, bounce shot, puts it away. We got a tie ball game.
This game has had a lot of ties involved, about 5 throughout the game. Millen, far side to Berge. Haven't heard from him since the first goal of the 3rd quarter. He's getting a lot of attention defensively. Fast break, watch out. Malowski couldn't pick it up. No, that was MacArthur. Coming out quickly was Jay Jalbert. An offensive star at Virginia. Jay Jalbert is a rookie, has taken on a defensive role, a lot of assists this year. He got his first goal against Columbus a couple weeks ago. But he is a future star in the National Lacrosse League. Millen. Inside, he gets some space, and it goes off the pipe again. The last 2 shots have beaten O'Toole's right shoulder and have hit the pipe.
New 30-second shot clock lead. Philadelphia needs to settle down a little bit. They're getting great opportunities, but the pipe or the goalpost is on Pat O'Toole's side the last 2 opportunities.
Berge looking to get a little space as they put 3 guys on the left-hand side again. Give him a little room. Splits 2 guys. Split down far side. Marichek bounces to the far pipe. And a big split by O'Toole gets his left leg in for the block.
Great run here for Philadelphia. Another new 30-second shot clock. Taking their time, getting their offense set up. Philadelphia faithful on their feet right now. We're down underneath 3 minutes in the 4th quarter, a tie ball game. Next goal is going to be huge.
Clark tries to get it from the far side. Not much of an angle as he swept across. They had the defense tired for Rochester, and they looked like the offense was tired too. They didn't run them on that last little series. Didn't get a great shot. Didn't test the defense because maybe they were tired. Finally, the ball comes back to Rochester, and right away, Paul Day calls a timeout. He wants to rest his key people.
Smart strategic timeout by Paul Day. His guys were gassed, no question. It helps both teams right now to regroup. The defensive end for Philadelphia, get the right personnel on the floor, as well as Paul Day. He's telling his guys to get out there, move the ball around, find the high percentage shot. Probably 1 good shot, settle him down. You can see him motion to his guys. Look for Grant out there. Look for Malowski out there. Look for Bomberry out there. MacArthur, Sudan. I mean, these are guys that got to make it happen right now for Philadelphia, or Rochester.
Here are those last shots we talked about, hitting the pipe. There's Finneran beating O'Toole, but hitting the iron. O'Toole had a great block and almost closed down the angle. Then moments later, into Marechek, 2-on-1. He goes far side. It comes off the far side on him there. So O'Toole really making the margin of error slim, forcing the Wings to go for that tight shot in the corner and making great defensive stops on that defensive end. Both goalies playing at a playoff level, no question about it.
At this level of expertise and professionalism of these shooters, and the goalies being so big and there's not that much net to shoot at, a lot of times you have to shoot it up at the corner and you really need to aim at the pipe. And these guys are doing just that, hitting the pipe. So the barrage of shots is to Philadelphia's advantage, 52-44, but the action is hot now.
Down to around 2 minutes in the game.
10-second violation, Rochester possession.
Rochester possession. They started the game forechecking a lot, really putting pressure on the clearing efforts of Philadelphia, and that's what that timeout allowed them to do, get fresh legs and reapply that strategy to get the ball back.
At this point of the game, just one minor mistake could end up costing a team the game.
Sudan in accordingly. Kruger backside, watch out. Great shot by John Grant. Not a lot of angle, and the wonderful save by Dallas Elliott comes back to his number 24, Pete Jacobs. Crowd stands up, 10,000 plus. A minute and a half, you see the clock winding down toward that 1:30 mark. Millen sets up on the left side. Wheeling inside, looking for Ryan. MacArthur holds him up pretty well. In the corner, Marechek just dings the net, and he gives the Wings another 1-goal lead. What placement by Tom Marechek.
Tom Marechek had to be at least 40 feet out. If there's a three-pointer in this game, that would be a three-pointer. Tom Marechek, his accuracy so incredible, sets up the shot from way outside, sees the net, blasted past Pat O'Toole. Here he is from way outside, has a screen in front, bangs it to the upper corner. Marechek giving a little bit of extra business afterwards, and a great goal. Here's a great look at it, Mark Millen, finding the right guy, the right opportunity, and Marechek from outside.
Tom Marechek has scored the last 2 goals for Philadelphia. You talked about champions playing big when champions want to win a championship. Well, they needed Tom Marechek. He had scored 1 goal into the 4th quarter. Then it was a 10-9 game, and Marechek stepped up. He scored the 11th goal. He scored the 12th goal for Philly.
And there's the guy that Rochester wants to have the ball, number 24, John Grant. He's his deadly. The guys behind him are really probably his featured pass because he's so adept from behind the net, or behind his back passing.
Tom Fair read that play beautifully. He was looking back door. Fair was really sensing that Jacobs, the trailing player, would be involved. He cut the angle, picked up the ball, and then with his experience, he brought it up himself away from the bench, not to risk losing possession with a minute to go. Then Tony Resch called a timeout. Now the Wings will control the ball for, you would hope, at least 30 seconds of a game that only has a minute left.
Huge possession right here. Philadelphia holding on to a 1-goal lead. Less than a minute to go. The Philadelphia faithful, they're on their feet. I mean, this place is rocking right now, and it all comes down to this right now. Philadelphia can control the ball. They can walk away with a 1-goal game.
Resch calling his last timeout. Take a look at Tommy Marechek, though, right there, number 42, assistant captain. One of the greatest players ever coming out of Syracuse, an all-pro every year in this league. He had 3 goals today, and this will be his first goal of the game. Rockets in from the outside. He's got tremendous accuracy. Then he comes in and shows a little bit of a hesitation move, getting the goalie out of position. And this was his last one. Just ping the corner, and look at the distance on that shot. He wanted to make sure the guy who played defense on, the guy that was giving him some pressure early on, a little bit of words there, but Tom Marechek, nobody better on the offensive end than this great from Syracuse. Grew up in the area where the great Paul and Gary Gay grew up in Vancouver, British Columbia. Came to Syracuse behind the gates.
He's emerged head and shoulders to lead this team right now. He is the veteran offensive leader as Philadelphia fans are on their feet. What they call the jungle is this arena right here when the Wings are playing at home in a situation like this. Goosebumps right now, leave goosebumps.
Philly in control of their destiny. They've got the ball, but Rochester wants to get it back one more time. Now they got to put it on its net. They dish it back to give Rochester one last 30 seconds. You know Paul Day will call timeout. Shot clock violation. Rochester's ball. Watch for Day to call timeout and probably pull his goalie. He'll have the last 30 seconds to tie this game. Is this the way it should end? You bet. Two great teams. Philadelphia trying to beat a team that was in the playoffs in the championship game the last 2 years. That's how close Rochester was to being the champion. They lost to the Rock at Toronto the last 2 years. Philly beat them twice this year. They're forced to beat them 3 times if they are going to advance.
You got to make mention of the fact that Rochester was in the championship last year and lost with really 1 second on the clock. Rochester almost won the championship last year. This has been their year to get back to the show, to get back to the championship. They're 28.9 seconds away from tying this thing up and going to overtime and trying to get back there. Let's see what Paul Day has crafted up for his offense with a 6-on-5 advantage.
You know it'll involve John Grant. He's got his extra man team out there. It'll be Malofsky, the magician that finishes second shots down low with Kruger. It'll be Troy Cordingley on the far left-hand side with Dwayne Jacobs. And it'll be the magic man, John Grant, bringing it up. This is Pat O'Toole, who just came out. He did a great job today. 42 saves on 54 shots. Did everything you would want out of a goalie that's one of the best in the league. Rochester. Last shot to tie the game and send it into overtime. John Grant, the magic man, looking for room up top to Corey Bomberry. In close, Dewey Jacobs can't get it past the stick check. The Wings blocked the ball down. I think it was Dan Radeball who blocked the ball down. 5 seconds. The Wings are going to advance and go to the championship game against the winner of Toronto and Washington. Philly wins 12-11.
So, the friends out the border to say, adios, amigos.
Listen to the crowd roar here in Philadelphia, the First Union Center. What the Wings like to call the jungle. This place is crazy right now. The Wings are going back to the place they like to be in, that they're used to being in. The show, the championship. Not since 1998 has Philadelphia been in the championship game. Now they're back in 2001. Back to the championship game to face what could be a home game if Washington can sweep Toronto for the season.
We'll take a short break and come back to the postgame here in Philadelphia. Our first playoff game for the National Lacrosse League in 2001. Philadelphia beats a Rochester team that was as tough as they could be. 12-11 is the final. Stay with us. The final in Philadelphia, the Wings, a close one over the Rochester KNIGHTHAWKS. They came in at 10-4, tied for second. It's the Wings that'll go on and play the winner of Toronto, Washington. 12-11 the final. Leif Elsmo and Scott Gabrielson. It all started with great defense as the game got tight in the third quarter. It was 3-1 in the third quarter that got them the lead, Philadelphia, but they had to hold tight in the fourth, and Elliott was coming up huge, Scott, the whole last part of the game.
Again, one of the main reasons why Philadelphia is successful, just the play of Dallas Elliott. The shooting of Rochester has been so accurate and so good and deadly. Dallas Elliott made huge saves tonight to shut down the power and attack of Rochester.
And then, of course, it was Tommy Marechek scoring the last 2 goals of the game, and this game winner, pinging it from about 20 yards out. What great accuracy for the All-Pro Tom Marechek. There's the game summary. Rochester getting off to that lead with a great second quarter, but Philly's third quarter not only matched it, but was a little bit better. They got 2 goals picked up there. They matched Rochester in the fourth, and they have the 1-goal win to send them on to the winner of Toronto, Washington. For Scott Gabrielson, I'm Leif Elsmo. Thanks for watching our National Lacrosse League playoff coverage. It continues in Toronto tomorrow night.